So today we're going to do React again, and we're gonna finish with that. We're gonna finish with the Pokemon app that we did last time. We're gonna do a few things to it today. Let me. As soon as I download all of this stuff, I'll start sharing. Oh yeah, for the I guess while I'm downloading this stuff, for those resumes, what I'm literally gonna do is on I guess on Sunday. Actually, I'll yeah on Sunday what we're gonna do first is we'll do the mock interviews, and then after the mock interviews, I'm just gonna take a look at your resumes like I just looked at yours T, but I'm gonna try not to look at anybody else's. Like I want to look at it like right there, you know what I mean, and just start breaking it down like right in front of y'all, so you can hear like my thought process behind everything. Did this download yet? Because that's literally how it's going to be. Like when somebody looking at your resume, they're not about to like sit here and like analyze the whole thing. Like they're gonna see it, and they're gonna have a few first thoughts. But after I tell you my few first thoughts, I'll start breaking it down to see like what is good, what's not too good, and stuff like that. Let me share my screen. Share desktop. Okay, so all right, so I just downloaded the React app. Is my computer about to die? Yes, it is. Let me get my charger real quick. So I basically just now downloaded the where we left off at with the Pokemon, and I brought it up on my screen. So remember how I was telling y'all like that I'm never gonna put the no modules in there. So you're gonna have to like you have to do the npm install, and then the npm. Where's my camera? Yeah, so you have to do like the npm install and then the npm start. But I'm gonna show y'all a little shortcut. Instead of doing one and then the other, what you can do is run npm install and then do a double ampersand and npm start. So what it's going to do is going to run this first, and then it's going to run this one after the first one is done. So you basically just doing it all in one step. And to be honest, if I really wanted to, I could go inside of the package Json and put like a script in here to do that same thing. Actually, yeah, let me just do that just to show y'all. Just to show y'all, I'm gonna do let me see, install and run, right? And I'll just do npm install and npm start. So
it's a S.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna do, and remember, when it's like a different name, you have to do npm and then run and then the name of this. Whereas if it's just start, build, test, and eject, you just do npm whatever these names are. But since this is a custom one, we have to put this run here. So I'm just do that, and we can see that it's running this npm install and npm start here. Now, to be honest, like you don't normally see this like on a job. That's just like me just being extra. Like I'm just showing you how to use this. I don't think I've ever seen somebody put this in one command. I mean, it is convenient to just have it on one command because, you know, when you first run it, but you're not really going to see it. So as soon as this finish, it should start the server on 3000. And for the mock interviews, it's going to be 4 of us, if assuming everybody come. It's going to be me and 3 of my developer friends. One of the guys is going to be the one that y'all already met, Jerome, and then it's going to be 2 other developer guys that I know.
Anything we should prepare for, or any tips on preparing? Or
I would say just go through the regular like Udemy course and go through well, I think that's probably the best thing to do. But I'm gonna ask them to ask y'all stuff on React also, or not I mean like basic like stuff, not nothing too like crazy. Um, but yeah, I prepared a few questions for them to ask. So funny thing is, when I was looking at interview questions for like JavaScript, I noticed that there's some stuff that I did not even go over. Like I went over the stuff y'all see mostly, but like in interview questions, when y'all do start interviewing, I would definitely look at interview questions. Y'all gonna see some stuff that y'all never saw before, but it's fine because y'all already got all the tools to what's it called it to do it to learn it on your own. But yeah,
can you give us a sample question?
oh, sample. I can't tell you about that. I have like a list of like 30 sample questions. But y'all gonna see. Y'all gonna see. We're gonna do all of them through. We're gonna run through all of them on Sunday. Also, we're not gonna do Sunday to Tuesday. So, but yeah. So this still works just like it did before. We still got this messed up on HTML here, but I mean, I'm not even gonna worry about that right now. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to convert this to use the useReducer React hook. We learned about use state. We learned about use effect. We learned about use context. Now we learned about use a reducer. The last time I talked to y'all, I had told y'all something that wasn't true. I just realized. I had told y'all that use reducer was like a more robust version of use context, but like I got that mixed up with something else. But so y'all, use reducer is almost like use state, except for it's more like detailed. And I'll show you how to set it up real quick. It's not even going to take much to set it up. Um, so whenever you're using use reducer, you basically start it off. So before I start, what we're about to do is we're going to replace use state with use reducer. Like we're going to delete this whole thing and just everything's going to go through the reducer, and you're going to see the difference between the two. They do something very similar though. So to use the use reducer, we do something very similar to use state, where we do the brackets like this, but this time, instead of giving like a variable and then a way to set the variable, what we're doing is giving it a state and a way to set the state dispatch. Y'all gonna see what that stuff means. Um, so, so this state, right, this is the global state. That's what this variable is. I'm literally defining the variable here, state. Dispatch is a function that we fire to set the state. So it's almost exactly like use state, but we're gonna see a difference. The difference is this reducer takes 2 parameters. It takes a function called, and we just gonna name it reducer, and it takes an initial state. So I'm going to make a function up here, and I'm going to call it reducer. And it's called reducer by convention. So you're going to see that like that name all the time. This reducer has two parameters. The first one it has is the state, the current state that you're currently in. The second thing it has is the action. And we're going to see what action is in a minute. I'm just going to return state really quick. And we're going to see why I'm doing all of this stuff. I'm just setting this up right now. But this is the structure of the function that you got to pass into this useReducer hook. So you pass in the function as a first parameter, and then you pass in the initial state. I'm just going to say an empty object, just like we did with the use state. So we're going to start off with an empty object, and we also we're going to pass in this function. The difference between this and this, like difference between use state and useReducer, is that this function that we pass in, this is what controls how we're setting the actual state. And you're gonna see how that's used in a minute. So I set it up, right? I'm just going to use the stuff we already have. Remember, we're already using context and everything like that. So I'm just going to pass these two variables to this variable here, the global object. Remember, all of those components has access to global and set global. And just to quickly show y'all a quick refresher. Like in here, like when we're in a search component, we brought in set global by using this use context. And that's because we passed it into this global object, which is passed into this provider, the value for the provider. So essentially all I'm doing is giving it two more variables. I'm giving it this state one and this dispatch function. So that's the only thing I'm adding right now. And what I'm gonna do, since I just passed in those two things, I want to take out, I'm gonna take out this dispatch here because I want to show you how that works real quick. So I'm taking out dispatch here, and whenever I complete the fetch for the Pokemon, remember this is where we fetch the Pokemon, the get request. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call this function. I'm gonna call this dispatch function. Let me put a debugger here actually, because y'all gonna see it fire all the way on this side. So that's gonna fire it, right? Let me open this up. Go to the browser. I'm gonna type in a Pokemon. I'm just typing in Mew and not fire anything. Okay. I think we gotta pass in the object here. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna try that one more time. Let's do Pikachu. Okay, so I had to pass in the object. So what happened was I typed in Pikachu. It made the get request to get Pikachu. And then we ended up inside of this then. And then I fired this function. And this function is fired all the way over here inside of at. And that's why we're stopping here inside of this reducer. Two things I want you to notice. First thing is the state. This is just an empty object. We don't really see anything in here. I didn't really go over what this is, but that's irrelevant. Like there's nothing in here right now. And this is what I just passed in, that object I just passed in. There was nothing inside of here. But what I'm about to do is I'm about to add something in there so that we can see the difference. What I'm gonna add is two things. First thing is the type, right? And the second thing is the payload. Now the type is what we're doing. What we're about to do whenever we're inside of here is set the Pokemon. So I'm just gonna say set Pokemon, right? And the payload is what we want to set. Is what we want to pass in, so that we're going to use this payload. Basically, I want to pass in all of this stuff, because this is all the stuff we got back from the API call. So after we get back the data from the API call, we fire dispatch with a type of set Pokemon and a payload of whatever came back. Just the exact same stuff that we use here inside of set global. We'll save this. And so now this, I just press delete so that we can, it's just like a little shortcut. So the state came back, it's still empty. There's nothing in the state right now. And the action is everything that we just passed in. The type was set Pokemon, and the payload was everything that we put there. So we got a Pokemon, the attack, defense, height, HP, all of that extra stuff right there, right? Now, what do we do with this, right? The thing that we do with this is we use this object to determine what the next state is going to be. Now, to do that, we're going to use a bunch of if-else statements. Now, so we'll say, right, if action dot type, remember the type was set Pokemon. If the type is set Pokemon, what I'm going to return is the payload. I want the state to equal the payload, and that payload is this stuff. I want this to be the state. If this type equals set Pokemon, whatever, and one thing I almost forgot, whatever we return from this function is what the state is going to equal. That's going to be the new state of the app. So if nothing comes back, obviously we're going to set it to nothing. But if we get to this condition, we're going to set the state to this instead. I'm going to save this so that we can see this happen. Let's refresh. Oh, I didn't put a debugger. Let me refresh one more time, because I want y'all to see it from when from where there's no state. I'll put this debugger here, and I'll just do Pikachu, right? So right now the state is empty, there's nothing in there. So now we go to the if statement. If action dot type, if this type equals set state, we're going to go inside of return, and we're going to return the payload. This is going to be our state now. So I'm gonna hit play. This runs through here twice for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it's still gonna return the payload. So now the reducer is saying that this state object, right? I mean, this state variable, the one that we passed in, that's going to equal the payload that we just passed in. If I literally press delete here and then let me do mu this time around. Let me put a thing here, mu. The state before was Pikachu, right? Now the state is going to be everything here, mu. Now we about to change this state to whatever this payload is, mu. I'm gonna hit play. The state is mu. So to recap really quick, we had useReducer. We have some state variable, and we have a function to change the state. And we passed in this function here. This function controls whatever the value of this state variable is. Now we know that we're able to use a bunch of if-else statements to adjust this actual state variable. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this thing here, and I'm just gonna use this state variable instead of using global, because I don't need this anymore. I'm just gonna use it this way, and I'm gonna delete this out of there. Let me save this. I'm gonna go to search. Since we're not using the set global no more, I'm gonna delete that. We don't need this anymore either. I'm gonna delete this. Everything's gonna break until it's fixed. Obviously. So we deleting all that stuff. I want to delete also this. We're not using this no more. This global. Now we're just going to use state, the state that was passed in. This one here instead of using global. So we'll do global dot Pokemon instead of we'll do state dot Pokemon instead of global dot Pokemon. I'm gonna save this, and I feel like it should work now. Let me just be sure I didn't use any of that. Oh yeah, so we use state here. We use global here. I'm gonna change this to state, and we'll pull all of this stuff out of state instead of global, because we know state contains all of that stuff now. If I go here and I type mu, we can see that the exact same thing showed up here, and we're not using what we used before. Now we're using the use reducer way of doing it. I know there was a lot of stuff. And we're about to see the benefit of using this way instead of using the use state. But any questions so far? I know there's a lot of things we had to hook up. All right. And it's okay if you're confused, because we're about to use more. We're about to use this again so that we can see it again.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm super duper confused. Like because it felt like you still using use not use current, but it still feel like you're using another hook.
Yeah, I am
with the use reducer.
Yeah, so I'm using the context with.
Oh, use context. Okay, yes, okay. So you still setting a global object using use context,
right?
But now you doubling up with use reducer to make it changeable variable.
Right. Exactly.
So use reducer creates a dummy variable that's able to be changed.
Right.
But you have to configure it, like you have to configure the function inside of the reducer, inside a reducer variable.
Right.
That variable can be anything though. So it don't, I'm sorry, I'm outside watching these young guys cut my grass. I'm sorry for the wind and stuff. But so you got to set up a variable with a function, actually. You got to set up a function that controls the state variable.
Right. Exactly.
So it has to be pretty much an if-then statement or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like an on-off type situation. I think I get it.
Right. Yeah.
Can it be nested ifs? Can you nest them mugs?
The nest what? Like these if statements and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever logic you want to put in here, you just have, with use reducer, you have like a lot of control over like what's happening. And the nice thing about this is that it makes it more readable. It's like, okay, what are we trying to do? We're trying to set the Pokemon. Like anytime we're trying to set the Pokemon, we know the logic that's inside of this curly brackets is what's gonna get fired. Like we don't have to just return something. We can do a whole bunch of stuff inside of this curly bracket here. Like we have a lot of control over how the state turns out, depending on what we're doing.
So that's another thing. The return. I'm trying to get the return because usually, if we type like a if and then return, it would have kicked out that whole constant function, right?
It does.
In normal JavaScript.
It does still do that. It does. So anytime we hit the return, we exit. So whatever we return from this function is what state is going to equal. The new state is going to equal.
Okay, so if the action ain't set Pokemon, it's gonna return whatever the state used to be.
Right, exactly.
Or whatever the state is. Okay.
Right. All right, cool. Which is this empty object. Right, exactly.
Right. Or if we set it to something else like Pikachu, or in this case, it'd be me.
Yeah, Mew, right, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, you just explained it, to be honest. There's a lot of things that that tie together, but once you have it hooked up, y'all about to see like how easy it is to change the state and like how convenient it is to change the state. So there's a few things that we're gonna do. We're gonna do some upgrades to this app. Let me see. The first thing we're gonna do, I wrote down I wrote down all the upgrades that we're gonna do. Let me where is it? Okay. All right. So first, before I get too far, um actually I don't want to actually yeah, let's do this one last. We're gonna do axials last because I don't want to you know be off track. So we'll do some we'll add some functionality in here, right? So whenever we I want you to notice whenever we let me go to guest log. Whenever this name is not an actual Pokemon, let's say ME, like what I want to happen is I want this to go back to the egg, the egg that we started off with. Like I want it to be this egg. So ME should always give me that egg because there's no Pokemon name ME. It's not until you say Mew. But if I press delete, I want that to go back to the egg. So what I'm gonna do is basically with this Pokemon API, if you type in a Pokemon that does not exist, what's going to happen is it's going to come back with an error. I'm sorry, basically, hey, that Pokemon don't exist. That's when we go inside of this catch right here, like that's this stuff here. So what I'm gonna do is if we do get an error, I'm gonna call it dispatch, and I'm gonna empty the state. I'm just gonna pass it a I'm gonna pass it. Let me say, I'm gonna say type is no Pokemon found, right? So if no Pokemon found, and I don't have to pass this a payload, I'm just gonna pass this a type. So if no Pokemon found, so else if action dot type equals no Pokemon found, we're gonna return an empty object. And remember that empty object was the reason why it was an egg to begin with, because remember we started off with an empty object. So literally every time it says no Pokemon found, we're gonna reset the state back to nothing. So if I do Mew, obviously that's there, but if I press delete, it goes back to the egg. So now that's one upgrade that we did. If I press delete, you know, it goes right back to the egg. Does that make sense? What I just did?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna do another upgrade, right? What I want to do, and I'm gonna get y'all help on this one, just to get some interaction going. What I want to do is, let's say we have Pikachu here, right? When I click Pikachu, I want I want to catch the Pikachu. Like I'm gonna click this, and what I want is the Pokeball, the Pokeball to show up. And I already downloaded a Pokeball image. Let me get that. So source assets. Okay, this is the Pokeball right here. Let me close that out. Now I'm going to put this in here. Let me here. Where is it? Pokeball is here. I want this to go inside of the assets folder. I should have just did it from that. I'm just going to do it from here. That's going to be too difficult to do. I'm going to put this inside of source, then I'll drag this inside of the assets folder. Okay. So if I was like, okay, if like I want to be able to click this and something to happen to it, like what do y'all think the first step is for me to do that? Like me click this and then turn this picture into a Pokeball.
You got to set up a on click, if I'm not mistaken, on the on that asset.
Right. So where do I set up the on click? Like kind of walk me through it.
I don't know what that picture file is, but whatever variable, and it got to be in the HTML too, so it's gonna be in probably at.
So the picture is the Pokeball is here.
Yeah, no, I mean the Pikachu, the one that returns the picture of the Pokemon. And that asset, you don't, that little space you want to set up an on click.
Right. How do I
Yeah.
figure out? How do I figure out where this is?
Would
That
that be
should
app?
be a, inspect element. Click the Pikachu. Hit that
So inspect element.
right there. Yeah, that was
It is inside the app, but like it's a component inside the app, right? So
right.
this is what it gives. So which like if we like obviously so which component is this? Like I mean we just see divs here. Like, we don't see like there's another way. Remember the
Oh yeah, the
React.
React.
Mhm.
Hit that component.
Right.
This is a
So-
reference component.
Right, it's a reference component. These apps can get really big. Obviously, I mean, in the HTML it says reference here, but like these things can get these projects can get really big. So you want to get used to using this components extension. So yeah, it's inside a reference. So I'm gonna go inside a reference. Reference is here, right? So where do I put the on click?
Oh, it should be right after style. So like in the same line as ID and style, you set up your own click right there. So on click, and then you have to set up your function.
Right. So I'm just gonna give it an on click function. I'm gonna set that up here. Okay. All right. So now the on click is set up. Now, like, now we gotta actually do something. And this part we have to get a little bit creative. So we want something to happen, right? So how do we like change the state? Like what do we use to change the state? Because we know we got to change the state. Yeah.
Now I'm not sure. Is that state that? Oh, cool. So it's set up in the use state. So you'll probably go like state dot Pokemon equals that Pokemon PNG, or let's see.
Well, you can't do this. Like React, it's going to prevent you from. We can do this technically, but the app is not going to update. And the reason is because React doesn't. It stops you from doing that. Like there's restrictions. Remember how
Yeah,
we were. Okay.
No, I was gonna say I know we want to use that. I know we want to set the background image to the Pokeball image.
Right.
That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is set style. So you don't have to use the get by ID in here though. Because I was gonna say you pretty much would get that div by ID, set style equal to the image. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm doing it the old way.
Right. Yeah, you want to get away from that.
It's hard.
That's why I'm stuck.
Man. Oh, no, you use the set state function. So you'll probably set state, change that to the Pokemon image. Yeah, there we go.
A set state.
Because we're using the state.
We don't have wait, what do you mean set state? What do you mean by that?
And we're not still using set state? Or it
No,
could
because we're using reducer now, ain't we?
yeah, we're using reducer function.
Right. So how do we yeah.
It'll be action dot. I wonder if we could set up another else statement. So like action dot type, else if exactly. Set up another one, and then we can set the action dot type to like catch or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then return what am I returning?
Yeah.
Oh, Shaduki. Return. What am I returning, class? Batman, help me.
Yeah, this is the creative part. It's really like there's so many different ways you can do this. So
because I wanna let me see. Shit, I wanna set that mug. How do you use it to change state? I mean change the style. Because it's just gonna it's gonna be changed background image to whatchamacallit, but I'm still trying to do it the hard way. Hold on. I gotta think a little more.
All
Can you
right,
scroll
so
through the code a little bit? Oh,
But
okay.
then you add the thing to it wouldn't be action payload again if you added it to the assets.
say it again.
Then you add the image to the assets, so it wouldn't be actually it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I added to the assets. Yeah. So so it's gonna be a little. I don't want to like give it out too much.
No,
Let me
hold on. I got you.
All right. I'll give it like 2 minutes, and then I'll tell you the answer to this return.
Okay.
Then we're gonna move on
Okay.
to the next.
Is that at? That's at. Yeah, that's at.
Mhm.
This back.
If you need me to go to a different file, let me know. I'll like go around or whatever.
Let me see what that reference JS looking like.
Okay.
There we go. Let me see. So if I'm returning the payload. All right, go back to app right quick. Damn, could I set action dot payload to
Yeah,
I don't think I can set the payload to
the payload is what we pass in. Remember, like if so inside of I think it was search. Like we was passing the payload.
There we go. Boy, that mother firing off. Like I'm like I'm like 2 feet from that mud. Can we just set Pokemon URL equal to? Nah, no, we can't do that. That's gonna break it.
Well, if you scroll down,
look,
yeah, it's the same thing.
Look, we gonna get that mud. It's funky up. Placeholder search. Get Pokemon type of Pokemon now. That's it. That's an error. Man, so action. Ooh.
Man,
All right,
I
so
want that mud.
I'm gonna start explaining it. All right, I'm not gonna like directly go there, but I'm gonna tell you my logic behind it. And this is like I said, there's a million ways to do this. So inside a reference, right? Like my first thought is let's look at how we even set it to an egg to begin with. Like what was we even like doing? So
Right.
the way we did that is we changed the style, which was the background image, and then we did something like this where we're saying, okay, is there a Pokemon in the state? If not, we're gonna set it to this background image, and this background image was imported. So the first thing we got to do is we got to import that Pokeball. That's definitely a step. So Pokeball is going to come from side of assets, and then Pokeball.png. Right. I'm save this. Right.
If you do what I think you're gonna do.
I'm about to change this a little bit to make this look a little bit easier. Instead of doing this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you something a little bit different. So this background image, right? I'm gonna set this to a function. We about to get a little bit more React. I'll say get background image, and we'll say if state dot Pokemon. So if there is a state, if there's a Pokemon in there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna return state dot Pokemon.
Yeah. Else if it's blank.
Yeah, or we can just straight return it. It's just gonna be there anyway. We're gonna return the background image. And what I'm gonna do
So in that case, I could just set background image in the function to Pokeball. I mean to the catch picture.
Say it again.
Now if so now in my on click, all I gotta do is set background image to the Pokeball.
Well, background image was imported, so you can't change this. This was that's
Oh,
not
that's it.
first state. Mhm. But I mean, it's definitely the right track. Let me just make sure this still works. So yeah. So let me just go refresh. Okay, so we got the Pokeball there, and everything still works. So um, this function works for us. So we're just literally just going to put whatever the function returns. So we got background image, and now we can do a condition for a Pokeball. We can put that in here. That's a clue. I'll give you like 60 seconds. I'll give it to like 46, and then just tell you the answer.
I wonder if we can't go set so state.pokemon equal to Pokeball. We can't do that?
If state.pokemon equals Pokeball,
No,
sure.
if no. So set it equal to Pokeball. So basically if the action dot type is equal to catch, I think we set it to, then set state dot Pokemon equal to Pokeball. We can't do that?
Yeah, we can do that. And yeah,
Oh,
we can do that. Pokeball, and then excuse me. Then what we
oh no. So we still return a blank on no Pokemon found, but the action dot type
oh
like
my
is
bad,
gonna be catch Pokemon.
my bad. That was yeah.
Yeah. So if action dot type is equal Pokemon, then we're gonna set state dot what is it? State dot Pokemon equal to Pokeball.
Yeah.
And that should give me what I need in my own click.
All right, say it again. What do I do on this side?
So in my own click, so right, I'm gonna go else if oh no, okay, no, here we go.
Inside of here,
Background
you're
image.
saying?
Return state dot Pokemon. Else if
Oh, actually,
action.
no, this won't work. This won't work.
Okay.
Yeah, this won't work. Now I'm thinking about it, because so here we set this to Pokeball. We set Pokemon to Pokeball, right? And it's gonna always go inside of this if statement. Like if because that turns out to be true. And this was supposed to be background. Wait, hold on. Background image. Yeah. Actually, no. Is that gonna no. So this comes back from the API call. Remember that Pokemon.
Yeah.
So it's never gonna set to Pokeball. It's always gonna be and even if so what what we could do to get around this, like if this equals Pokeball, right? What we can do is set it equal to this, which is actually no, it's not gonna work. I can see a bug already.
And plus
I can see a bug already.
we trying to hit that on click.
Yeah,
So it's
let's think about making this like explicit as possible, right? So if we catch the Pokemon, what I'm gonna say is Pokemon. If Pokemon is Pokemon caught, right? We'll set that to true. In the state is very telling that the Pokemon was caught. So what we can do is else if state that Pokemon caught. So if that's true, we're going to return Pokeball here.
yep.
That's as explicit as possible. Now, it's one thing that we're missing. We have to trigger this reducer, and we have to trigger it with catch Pokemon whenever we actually click the Pokemon. How do we do that? How do we trigger this function to fire?
So we can set reducer dot action. No. Reducer's a function.
Yeah, we have to we have to make this fire sometime. Remember how we make this function fire?
So you'll pass
Or yeah,
in,
that's how do we run this?
yeah. So it'd be like what? Reducer, run the reducer function, but you'll pass in, uh, you'll pass in,
Mhm.
what state would you pass in? I don't think you'll pass in. Do
How,
you? I don't think you have to pass in any state.
the question is how do you even run the reducer function? How do we even run this? Like there's a
It
specific
should be use reducer. You run use reducer and then you pass it. Nope.
no.
Oh,
How do we run this in the other files? So if I go to search, right? This fired the that reducer function on line 19.
so I gotta set type equal to catch Pokemon and then set the payload equal to Pokemon caught.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to put any payload at all actually, because we're not even
Oh,
using it here. See, we only use the payload in this one. The payload is optional. So what we did here inside of search, we use dispatch. That's the answer I was looking for. Dispatch
okay.
is how you fire the other function. So I'm gonna go to reference, right? And I'm gonna bring in dispatch because we didn't bring it in yet. And inside of the on click, I'm gonna dispatch an action.
And then run the type object. Okay.
Right, exactly. So the type is gonna be this one. And we're about to do some refactoring also. I don't know if y'all
My gosh.
know what I'm about to do, but we're about to do some refactoring. So now we dispatch catch Pokemon. So if I click this Pokemon, it changes to a Pokeball. You can see how
Forgive my baby brain.
yeah. You can see how React kind of yeah, and if I delete this, obviously it goes back to the egg also. One thing that we're about to do is if I click this, it still goes to the Pokemon. You can't, I mean, you can't catch it. I don't think you can catch it. Can you catch an egg? We'll pretend that you cannot catch an egg, and like that'll be something that we'll fix. But either way, I want y'all to know it's like how React is like it's all interacting. Like all we literally had to do is call dispatch catch Pokemon, and we could have called this from like any component. After we set that whole thing up, after we set it up inside of this reducer, all we got to do is run this here, dispatch Pokemon, and it's automatically gonna do that thing for us. Like I could have put that anywhere. Like I could have put this. Let me see. I could have put that. Let's say here. Let's do an on click, right? And if I click the app itself, I just run dispatch catch Pokemon. Save that. I go back and just go back to Pikachu. If I click the here, it still catches a Pokemon because we already set that up in a reducer. Like, so React, it really does make it really easy and convenient for you to change the state after everything's hooked up, obviously. So yeah, all that stuff ties together. Now, what I'm about to do is I'll leave that that one. Let me teach Axios real quick before class is over, and if we don't finish in time, I'll fix that one bug where it's like, yeah, I don't know if we can actually catch an egg or not. But I'm gonna show you Axios. We were using fetch to do API calls. Now we're about to use something called Axios. Now it's literally almost the exact same thing. There's some minor differences. So Axios is actually inside of is inside of something called like the npm registry. This is a place. If you go to npmjs.com/packages, this is a place where people put their code. Like you can literally make a package yourself or put some code here and then publish it here yourself if you wanted to. What we're doing is we're using a package that somebody else created. It's called Axios. And with Axios, you're able to make API calls and stuff like that. And in order to bring this into your app, you have to run npm install Axios. You have to install that into your app. Remember when I told y'all that all of the different stuff that we're using is inside of this node modules, like all of that code that we're using in our app. Now we're about to add Axios here. And the other thing I had told y'all about was this package Json. This contains, inside of dependencies, it contains everything our app depends on. And all of this stuff, what all of this stuff depends on is inside of node modules. So what I'm about to do is in the terminal, I'm going to run npm install Axios, and you're going to see Axios pop up inside of this list of dependencies, what our app depend on. Press enter, and it should update it. So we can see it updated right there on this line, and it even brought it into this node modules folder. If I scroll down to Axios, where's Axios at? It's somewhere here. There's a lot of crap in here. It should have been in alphabetical order. Axios at the bottom. Either way, it's in here somewhere. I don't know exactly where they put it, but it's definitely in this folder somewhere. So now we can start using Axios inside of our project. Now, how do we use Axios? I want to use that inside of the search component, because we're using fetch. I don't want to use fetch anymore. I want to use Axios. You're going to see Axios used in React. Like, people don't really use fetch at all. Like, it's just not something we use. What I'm going to do is all the way up top, I'm going to import Axios. I'm press enter, and it completes it for me. Something to notice is how this import looks. Anytime we had imported anything else before, like it was like dot slash dot, like we had to navigate to the folder. But anytime you see an import that doesn't have like a dot slash in front of it, even like this React one here, these things exist within the node modules folder. Like this is us telling JavaScript, look inside of node modules if you don't see any dot slash whatever. Like that. So these supposed to run the same line just to keep that organized, because these are coming from node modules, and everything else here is coming from like your actual app, the code that you wrote yourself. So let me put like a little note. Comes from node modules, and these ones is the code you wrote. Save that. So this is actually, this is how we bring it in. We import it. So we do something very similar to fetch. With fetch, the get request is like this. Like, we didn't have to like it does a get request by default. With Axios, we gotta say that we're doing get requests. I believe this is definitely one way of doing it. So I'm gonna do Axios.get, and you pass it the URL. This is the URL here. Remember, we did Pokemon and we added like the text of the actual Pokemon. This was the actual URL. We'll put that inside of here. I'm gonna delete this. Now with Axios, we don't have to do this stuff anymore. This whole JSON, this response and response.json, because this was a readable stream. We don't gotta do that no more with Axios. We don't even need that step. And Axios is a promise, if you didn't already guess that, because we're using .then. So Axios.get to make a get request. We passed in the URL here, and we can skip that middle step. The only difference with this and fetch is that the response is not data. The response is a little bit different. I'm gonna put a debugger here so that we can see where it's going to come from. I just saved it, and it should refresh. I'm gonna press U, and it stopped here. If I hover over data, it has a bunch of stuff inside of here. Like, most of the stuff that is not really used, but the data is inside of the object that comes back. This is all the stuff that came back from the API call. So, so this stuff won't work. Like data.sprite is not going to work. We would have to do data.sprites. Whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this to something else. I'm just gonna say response, because that was the response that came back. and I'm gonna pull out data from the response so that we don't have to like change anything else in our code. So data was inside a response, and then everything else should fall into place. If I save this, I'm gonna hit play. Press U, and then now Pikachu works again because now we shifted it to Axios instead of using fetch. And I'll get used to using Axios because it's really like a popular thing. So that's that. What time is it? 8 p.m. Since it's already 8, I'll leave that last part up to y'all, like not being able to catch an egg. Because I'm really not sure we can do that, to be honest, in Pokemon. But yeah, so
No, you can't catch an egg in Pokemon. No.
yeah.
They're bred, not caught.
So I'll give it to y'all if y'all want to like try to figure it out. And just to give you a quick hint, like y'all literally gotta y'all gotta adjust this function here. So that's the hint. And I'll upload this code to what's called to the drive. So to recap before I let you go, we learned about React, we learned about use state, we learned about use effect, use context, use reducer, which are like the most popular ones that you're gonna do with React. We even know how to like convert this app. We converted this app to React, so now y'all know how to like sort of mess around with it a little bit more. This is literally the last class of learning for this cohort. So congratulations for everybody to even get to this point. On Sunday, like I was saying, we're gonna do the mock interviews and maybe even like talk amongst ourselves. And then on Tuesday, Sunday we're gonna do the mock interviews and the resumes, and then just kind of like network a little bit. And on Tuesday we'll just do like a little small like little ceremony, just like a goodbye or whatever. I know some of y'all are going to be in the next cohort, but it's pretty much we're pretty much done this cohort. We just got the ending stuff left. So yeah.
Woo. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. I'm glad we even got to React, to be honest, because this was like really important to even get here. So yeah. And next cohort, we're gonna do a lot more. We probably gonna be on React a lot sooner, like probably like a good like month and a half sooner than we did for, or maybe even 2 months sooner. Actually, I'm probably gonna do like a 2 month sooner one. But y'all gonna see the next class go by real fast, and we're not gonna go through all those apps that we went through in this class. We're gonna go through a select few, and y'all gonna be doing group projects that y'all never like did before. It's gonna be like all new projects and stuff. So it's gonna be more practice. So yeah. All right, cool. So if there's no questions, I will see everybody on Sunday.
That's what's up. Peace, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.
Have a good night.